Hi, welcome. I'm Kurt Wilson, Mayor of Roswell. Welcome to Chats with the Mayor. Here today we are with Police Chief Jim Conroy and Councilmember Lee Hills, and we are very thrilled to bring you our first chat with the mayor. And the first item we're going to talk about today is Roswell's Police Department. And I use a couple of words, adjectives a lot: amazing and rock star. And both of those adjectives are spot on when you talk about Police Chief Jim Conroy and Councilmember Lee Hills. And so thanks for being here with me, guys. We're here at Mimosa Hall. What a great place to be. Yep. And we're here to talk about our incredible police department, our past, our present, and our future. So, Chief, why don't you just give us a little rundown? You've been here now with us for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
And tell us a little bit about what you've gotten done as the leader of the police department.
So I came here in July. It'll be 3 years. When I came to the city of Roswell, there was some negativity out in the press about the Roswell Police Department. Several instances that occurred that were media sensations, a coin flip, and a couple incidents like that brought negativity on the police department. Roswell felt the need to look for new leadership. They hired a CPSM to come and do a gap analysis. And in that analysis, they came to the conclusion that we need to go outside for a police chief. I was retiring at the time. I had already announced my retirement at my prior position. When this job came open, I felt it was a great opportunity to continue serving in a different capacity, different type of community than I was used to. So I came here, read the gap analysis, learned about the police department. You hear the negativity that was going on, and I found a very good police department with a lot of great employees. Not what you expect when you saw the negativity in the news. In evaluating those, there were some poor leadership decisions that were made about how to handle incidents of misconduct. That's something I had a lot of experience in at DeKalb County, so I'm able to bring my experience in handling police misconduct to Roswell, and that's kind of what the impetus was at the time. Was they just weren't handled as appropriately as they should have been. So came, found a great department, spent a lot of time meeting everybody, the employees. The first thing I did, I set up one-on-one meetings with every employee because I wanted them to have a voice. That's part of that 21st century policing philosophy. Everybody has a voice, including and especially your employees. So every employee had to schedule a meeting with me. They didn't have to speak. We had challenge coins, gave them a challenge coin, asked them 3 things. What do you love about Roswell? What do you not like about Roswell? And if you were the chief, what would you change? And those were my 3 questions that I asked everybody. And it was all anonymous. I took notes, but not attributed to any employee, and a lot of them were just tick marks because everybody had a lot of the same ideas and same thoughts. So I just took that and implemented a lot that the employees felt was important to them. A lot of it was very simple stuff. Vest carriers, when you're in the heat, today's the hottest day of the year, and we have vest carriers that are outside of your shirt that when it's hot and you're in your car, you can lift it up and get some airflow. With the typical vest we carry, you don't get that airflow and you just sweat for 12 hours for your entire shift. Very simple. Those things are easy. Implement it, make sure that they have a voice and that they have a say in how the department operates. The beards, I've never worn a beard. Officers love beards now. We implemented that and they loved it. When we first did it, 99% of the male employees grew beards. We had to do something for the female employees, so we allowed different color nail polish. Previously, nail polish colors were restricted, so we widened the amount of nail polish colors that they were allowed to wear. So just listening to your employees and taking care of them as best as you can. Just lots of things like that, and then we had to go through and polish the employee manual. Our department has been accredited since 1995, so we have great policies and procedures. We had to go through and polish them and make sure that we're following those. Being accredited is, do you have policies and procedures? Do you follow those policies and procedures, and can you prove that? That's what being accredited is. It's all best practices, and there's 484 standards that you have to abide by. So we already had that. We just have to polish them and make sure we're following those policies. So I met with people and explained the importance of following rules and regulations, what to do, misconduct known to an employee. A lot of times if you have an employee that gets disciplined, they'd say, well, this is going on over here. And I explained to everybody, if you know about it, you have an obligation to either act or notify a supervisor. So that's part of that accountability. And when they understand that, and the policy is enacted fairly over everybody, not just over people the supervisors don't like, but it is across the board. If I violate a policy, I need to be held accountable for that. And they understood it and appreciated it.
You know, one of the things, Lee, that as I think as we've gotten to know the chief, that I think if we could get everybody to know the chief, there are a couple of things that I think are just incredible to me. One is he's very funny. The more you get to know him, he has a great, very dry sense of humor.
Yes.
But I think what's amazing, he came from DeKalb County. We had 1,200 badges, right?
At one time.
At one time. And how many badges do you have now here in Roswell?
So with the current budget, we'll have 160, and then we have 50 civilian professional personnel.
The thing that surprises me is I can't believe how fortunate we are as a city to have Jim as our police chief. Because, there's like a lot of professions, right? You don't know what you got until you get in, and you really don't know the quality. And the more that you get to know Jim, the more you realize the level of competency, the level of knowledge is incredible. Not only is he an able leader of people and an able manager of a lot of different policies and procedures, not just in the city of Roswell, but the county, the state, Fed. Very complicated job. People don't realize how complicated being a police chief is and how much there is to it. And what's amazing to me is how much information Jim possesses and is able to navigate all the different lanes successfully. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, incredibly talented. So when you got elected back in November, and we talked early on,
Right.
And you said, "Look, I want public safety. I want police." Why'd you say that?
Well, thank you, Chief Conroy, for everything that you bring to Roswell. And it was easy. It was very easy for me to say that. I had met you a couple of years right after you'd gotten taken this job at a high school football game, and I kept saying, "I recognize you. How do I know you?" And you said, "Well, I'm the new police chief," and it just all clicked then. So I had a great experience with you the first time I met you, but having lived here now 21 years in Roswell, I haven't had a problem when I leave my door unlocked. That's not open season for anybody, but I do have some killer dogs at home. But I've always felt safe here, and knowing that our Roswell Police Department is solid and being led well is very important to me as an average voter, an average resident, an average mom, and personal investor in this community. So getting to know you over the last couple of years, and then a fast track here the last 6 or 7 months has been a great thing. And also seeing the immense talent that works with you, not just for you, but with you.
Right.
And even when you're not there directing and leading and championing our finest, they're representing what you've instilled in them, 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 2-on-20, in the community, whether it's addressing something that's going on or doing a public service effort or just getting a soda in the gas station. It's always positive, and that goes so far because it reinvests in our residents a feeling of security and friendliness. And I call Roswell a really big small town, and what you bring to the table speaks volumes to that, because we can still feel like we're in a small town and know that we have the coverage of a big city. So it was easy for me. So I knew I wanted to go to bat as the liaison for public safety for fire and police and our E911 operators. So all of that plays a part into how I can sleep at night and our residents can sleep at night. So thank you for not sleeping at night.
Oh,
Well,
I get a little bit of sleep.
I want to give you a little credit. I mean, because I think you're being self-deprecating.
Oh.
Because I think, you were very clear after the election. You said, look, our police Police everywhere across the country have taken a lot of hits.
True.
But our police are special. And our police in Roswell have taken a hit. And you know what? There were a couple knuckleheads, a couple knucklehead events. Chief came in, rectified it, has worked very hard on making that look from a policy perspective that everybody understands, and we'll talk about policy here in a second. But you were very clear, like, look, no, I want the police. I want to be out there leading as an elected leader of the city,
Right.
demonstrating to my fellow residents how important the police are, and that, you know, not only we're not going to defund the police, we're going to fund the police. And then we're going to show, not just through pay, but every means necessary, that this is the most well-equipped, best trained, best loved on, best paid,
Yes.
best support that we can possibly manage and continue to encourage our fellow residents. And
That's
you
right.
led the charge on that from the get-go. And you said, look, no, we're going to fund the police right from the get-go. So talk to us. How's that manifested itself? What's happened?
It was a very short and relatively easy conversation with the rest of the council. I don't know why that hasn't been the top of the list for years and years, and I'm not here to analyze that. I'm here to get with it. It's time to do it. And you and our people have certainly taken a hit. And it's the time and day and age that we have to have elected stand up for what's right for our city, for our residents, and make sure that, you know, we've got your six. I know you have ours, but it takes guts on your end to deliver, but it takes guts on our end to stand up and say we're doing it.
Right.
That's the only path, the only pathway.
So, you know, Lee and Jim, the number one, if we went out and created a new town together, right? And created our compact of creating our town. The very first thing that we would focus on once we created the town and made our ordinances or laws, it would say is, how are we going to protect each other, right? So public safety is the foremost responsibility of a local government to its residents. And a lot of times that law and order, the rule of law, is part of our land and it's part of our freedom and it's gigantic. But Chief, you've done something that I wish all police departments would follow your model. The model of the leadership that I think that you have, the wisdom of the leadership and the model that you brought to the city, and from your experience. And it's gigantic because it's really easy in crime to say law and order, right? But you got to be smarter than that. And you got to come up with not just fixes, you got to come up with solutions. And you got to find out particularly solutions in 2022 to navigate all of the pieces in the world that we have to navigate. And one of the amazing things that I just so admire and so proud of about this city is that our police chief incorporates a policy of de-escalation. Will you talk about that and let everybody know kind of what that is and why it's so important?
So de-escalation covers a number of things. You hear de-escalation a lot in use of force situations, when there are excessive force incidents across the country, and you'll hear, oh, police need to de-escalate. It's more than just de-escalating use of force. It's de-escalating everything. It could just be an argument. If there's people arguing, you want to de-escalate that. Let's stop arguing. Let's talk about it. What I said before, everybody wants a voice. Everybody who calls 911 wants a voice. They want to be heard. Go out and hear what they have to say. Hang on, let me hear her side of the story, then I'm going to get yours next. We're going to hear everybody's story before we determine the best course of action. And that's part of de-escalation. Same thing with use of force. Same thing with the street racers. You know, the street racers come and take over an intersection, and they want us to go and chase them and get on 400 and go 150 miles per hour in and out. They're videotaping this, and we sat down and we talked to our officers. We're going to do this smartly. We're going to work with intelligence. We're going to use technology when it's available to track these people down, and we'll charge them later. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We don't want somebody to get hurt because we're chasing somebody over traffic violations. We'll show up to your business next week and, hey, we'll issue you a citation. Were you driving this car? No, I wasn't. Well, we're going to take it. We're going to dust it for prints, and we'll figure out who was driving the car to charge that person too. Do it smartly. It takes a little longer in some instances, but it has a longer impact that people know if we're going to do street racing, let's avoid Roswell, because once we thought we got away, we didn't. They came to my house 2 weeks later and took my car and charged me. So that's our whole goal. push criminals outside of our jurisdiction. And
What-
that's the de-escalation.
It's de-escalation, and I mean, it is such wisdom, and it's such wisdom from a policy perspective. How's that manifested itself in our city? I mean, can you talk about that and let our fellow residents kind of know, like, this is how it's manifested itself? You mentioned the street racers, but there are a lot of other examples where your policing policies have manifested themselves in very positive results, where Roswell's not in the news.
Correct.
Now, I will do this. It's glass,
Yes.
so I'm
Yes,
gonna
we
knock
need
on
it.
this, right? Where Roswell's not in the news, but that's not by accident.
Right.
It's because of stratagem. It's because of leadership. It's because of competency. It's because of an engaged police force that understands what you're trying to get done, and they're well trained. So talk about how that's manifested itself so residents can know, because there's a lot of things that don't happen and they're big positives.
So, and part of that, and part of this was here before I got to Roswell. I mentioned we had a great police department. One of the other things I did when I first got here is I would just pull body cam footage. All of our officers wear body cams, documents what they're doing on their shift. So I just pulled random body cameras just to watch and see what was going on. One of the first ones I pulled, it was a call at 2 a.m. Somebody had rung this lady's doorbell and left. And the officer was out there and watching the video. He was out there for an hour. And I was like, does he not have other stuff to do? Are there not calls backed up? There's not. That's what I was used to. Here they have time. Our officers have time to thoroughly investigate, to make sure that the community feels safe. He spoke to this woman for an hour. Hey, any idea who this might be? Any leads? I'll go check with the neighbors, and I'll have somebody check with the neighbors in the morning when they're awake. And that's part of that de-escalation. Instead of just saying, hey, there's nobody here, we're leaving. They made her feel safer, and that's important. That's very important. That's something I learned and had to make sure that we incorporate that. I tell that story to all of our new officers, especially officers that come from other departments and join our department. We're different. We expect a higher level of service. We expect you to spend time and solve a situation and not just take a report and leave.
What would you tell gangs or gang members that had an interest in coming to Roswell? What would you say to them, Lee? What would you say to them, Jim?
I'll let you go first because you worked in the schools for a while, so you're very familiar.
Unfortunately, yes. Watch out is one thing. I know you all are looking around all the time. This is no place for gangs. It's just not. This is a wholesome family community, and we're proud of that, and we want to keep it that way. Fortunately, I have personally not seen a lot, but I've heard a lot and have known some folks that keep a lid on it, young people. I don't know what's going on in the evening because clearly you all are doing something well, keeping that shut down. But I have seen that through our schools. I've seen kids wear colors under their helmets. And while personally that doesn't terrify me just by myself, it's terrifying for our family community and people that may not feel secure in themselves and are expecting protection and expecting our police force to take care of that.
Yeah. And there are gangs. There are gang members in Roswell. What we tell them is it's not acceptable here. Please don't display those activities that are known for gangs. In Georgia, a gang is defined by 3 people with common interests that commit crimes. So we do have that. They do happen at night. Some of these, we'll get waves of neighborhoods who have cars broken into, or they'll go to our parks. Some of these are gangs that travel in, drop people off, and they just go search for vehicles that are unlocked, steal stuff, then hop in the car and leave. That is a gang. So we do have them. We tell them it's not tolerated in our community, and we try to shut that down as soon as we discover the activity that's going on.
So Lee and Jim, obviously I don't want to be all Pollyanna. So because we still have crime, and our crime is, I think obviously most suburbs would trade places with us immediately.
True.
Right? But our job as public leadership is to continue to diminish crime, right? Is to make this the safest community in America, the best family community in America. And a big part of that is to have little or no crime.
Right.
So that's a big goal. So what are some of the things that we need to be doing that we aren't doing? What do we need to be doing politically? What do we need from our residents? How do we need the support? What do we need? What do we need to do for our police that we're not doing today?
I have gotten a little worn out with the see something, say something attitude. I think that's something we've gotten used to saying and not acting on. And one of the things that was important to me was addressing human trafficking, prostitution, that kind of thing. It's rampant throughout the United States. We're not number one in the United States in the metro Atlanta area, but we are in the top 10. And I have a young daughter, and it's not just young ladies. So see something, say something. We need to act on it. I have been guilty over the years of, oh, that's a shady area of town, whatever town I might be in. Don't go over there. Instead of being proactive about addressing that and calling the local police when I'm in a city or here. So going after illicit businesses here that are participating in that kind of behavior, we've got no use for that here in Roswell, none. So that's one of the things I feel like we as residents have got to speak up. If we see something and are suspicious, I have been told for 21 years when I've asked police officers, is it okay if I call 911 if I just think something's weird? Yes. I've been told over and over again, it's our job to triage that. Hand it off and go about your way. And so I think that's something that we all need to do, is be more vigilant about addressing personally the things that seem not so savory or off. Out of 20 or 30 calls, maybe one of them saves a life or prevents something that shouldn't have been going on. So it's great to know that that's the attitude of the department, that we can release that by actually acting, and then we as a resident are not on the news for that. So you do have that protection.
Yeah, definitely. What I would say, public safety is a shared responsibility.
Great.
It's just not police. Police are just those members of society that are paid to take action, but it is everybody's responsibility. If you see something, call. I don't know how many times I've been out on a burglary, writing a report, and then the neighbor's like, I saw a truck backed up to their house. Now, you knew that truck didn't belong there. Call us. Get to know your neighbors and say, Kurt does not have a big black truck that they're loading TVs into during the day. So maybe I should call.
Is it true, and I'm asking you to, obviously, is it true that we have a vast majority of the percentage of our crime in a very small area?
So we have hot spots that have higher rates of crime, but if we map crime throughout the city of Roswell, there's crime everywhere. And it depends what type of crime that is. You know, crime is in every community. I tell people, look at how much security the White House has. And there are an average of 9 incursions into the White House every day.
Wow.
So somebody trying to enter, hop the fence, something, despite all that security. You're going to have crime no matter how much security you have. Now, what is that crime? Is it fraud? Somebody tried to cash a check for your account, or somebody stole your identity, or somebody called you. You know, we've had a couple of these this week. Hey, this is, I'll use his name, Detective Yanao from the Roswell Police, because he was in the news last week. So they latched onto his name and said, I have a warrant for your arrest. Go get these red dot cards and send me some money so we'll take care of this warrant. So that is crime, and that is occurring everywhere. It doesn't matter where you live. But the entering autos, those occur everywhere. Nice neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods, all of our parks, happens everywhere. Restaurants, don't leave stuff in your car that's visible. My daughter's just now driving, and I go and check her car every night, and I said, your book bag is in there. There's nothing in it. I said, no, but a criminal thinks there's a laptop in there. They're going to break your window, take the book bag. Oh, it's just gym clothes. But prevent that crime.
So one of the things I think that impresses me about our community, about the Roswell, the town of Roswell, the city of Roswell, which is 100,000 people, is there's really not a place in this city where you can't go, your children can't go. And I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot. And I think, to your end, that part of the job is that policing or public safety is everybody's responsibility.
Yes.
And I think in those areas where, talk a little bit about what we're doing to help improve, not the policing necessarily's influence, but the public's response in areas where potentially maybe there's been a little bit more crime. What are we doing along those lines?
So, I mean, there's a lot. You know, we talk about the massage ordinance that just came up. That
Yes.
is something that we're taking an effort to address a certain type of crime. And what that crime is, either prostitution, human trafficking, whatever we're trying to prevent there, is the mayor and city council. This is something we want to address, and we will be able to address that particular crime. When we have technology is important. One of the items in this year's budget was ROC, the Roswell Crime Center. You're going to hear a lot about that as we proceed. We're going to take whatever cameras are out there, whatever license plate readers are available. Some communities, I think your neighborhood has license plate readers. They will link into our system. We will be able to get live data. We will get alerts. There's a stolen car that entered this neighborhood. As soon as we get that alert, if it's 2 a.m, I know they're about to go break into cars. Our officers will go, let's block the exits. Somebody go in and find where they are. That will help prevent crime. That's one of the important things. If we can't catch them in the act, it'll help us solve the crime. So that crime center is going to help, and it's going to be technology that we're going to leverage that as a force multiplier using the technology to help.
That's a great point, Chief. And that's something that Lee, you led the way on politically,
Yes.
on making sure that that got done by your colleagues.
Yes.
One of the things we'll be remiss, because we just have a little time left, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about something that I think I'm really glad you just took the absolute foothold of leadership on. And it's unconscionable that, you know, we've allowed it to happen as fellow residents, right? But that we've had massage parlors where there are basically dens of prostitution and human trafficking in our city.
Right.
And you led the charge on bringing the ordinance to say no more. You want to talk about that some?
Sure. I've known about it. I've looked the other way and not gone on those areas. And shame on me, and shame on us as a society for doing that, looking the other way. This is the speak up, the, you know, see something, say something. So it's gotten way too much, but because it's happening, publicity. The unfortunate side effect of knowing now is that we have to do something about it. I had mad support for this in the community, and I spoke to quite a few of our massage therapists here that said thank you. I haven't talked to all of them, but the ones I have talked to said thank you, and I said, you just call me if you have any misgivings about that, and we will set that straight. We want our businesses to thrive here and do well, and do a good service for people. I know a lot of people benefit from massage therapy, so it's not about that.
No.
It's the other.
Before we leave, I want you to make a little pitch, both of you, about what are the things that we need, what are the tools we need to add to your arsenal, forgive the language, to the toolbox of policing for public safety. What are the things we need in the future? What are the things that we as residents need to spend more money on that we're not spending money on currently? Can you talk about that, both of you?
So I'll jump into it, but it's something we just implemented. I want to talk about the police pay, because that was part of your 100-day plan.
Yes.
So recruiting and retaining high quality police officers is a challenge. Not in Roswell, across the whole country. It affects us here in Roswell, but it's a nationwide issue. The pool for qualified officers is diminishing rapidly. It is getting very shallow. We are all competing for a limited number of people who want to serve in today's society. You guys helped implement the best in class police pay. Our numbers, when I got here, our vacancies, we had 19, plus we had 9 frozen positions. So that's 28 vacancies in the Roswell Police Department. That's huge. You're not allowed to perform your services with that high of a vacancy rate. So we focused on it, we recruited, and we've been averaging about 3 vacancies throughout the years. And the past couple months, the economy's changing. People are going to the private sector. We've got several going to federal agencies, state agencies. They offer different things, daytime work, not working on the weekends, not working on holidays. And we've lost officers. Our vacancies have grown to 12. We just implemented this pay. We announced last Tuesday what our new pay scale was. It was at the top of the board. We have received right now, that was less than 2 weeks ago, over 100 applications.
Wow.
That's great.
So we have police testing
Great.
tomorrow morning. We have about 25 scheduled to come to police testing. We are going to be able to select from the top of that pile and get the best of the best to serve our department. And that is going to be a game changer. That is going to help tremendously, but it is something we're going to have to keep monitoring. Roswell has always been below the top. Right now we're at the top, but we're going to have to continue that catch up as we get full. But that's our whole goal. We're going to be able to recruit high quality certified police officers to start serving our community. Instead of waiting 10 to 11 months to go to the police academy, they will start serving within 4 to 8 weeks, and they will be on the streets patrolling our
fantastic.
Yes, it
neighborhoods.
is.
So it's
And
going
to
to be
your-
tremendous.
And to your point, and I think under Lee's leadership, you're going to see an array of things that we're going to try. Not just pay.
Correct.
We do need to be best in class on pay. I think that's a part of the operational model, from my perspective, for this city going
Yes.
forward forevermore.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Roswell Police Department will be the highest or best paid in class. And we can say today comfortably is that we're one of the highest paid police forces here in the Georgia region, in the metro Atlanta area. We probably, since we have a great police force, sometimes you can be, some of your success is, of course, people want people from your police department, so they
Yes.
come after you.
Yes.
And when you start an arms race in pricing, it will go up. But I will say the number one responsibility of us is our public safety. And so if you're going to spend money on something, spend money on your police.
Agreed.
And I think we're all in commonality, and I think our residents believe the same thing. It's an important investment in
Yes.
your community. Lee, before we leave, do you want to share any more thoughts or comments? Because it's hard to talk about how much you have done in the last 6 months in the issue of police and public safety. You want to tell our residents anything else?
It was not a sales pitch to put forth the best in class pay and to have that unanimously agreed upon by our council and mayor. So that was easy. The tough part is working out the short strokes of the dollars with our finance department, and they were great helping us make that happen. And I feel like this is just one of those things that if you want to compare to other areas that have a non-personnel piece that's a deferred maintenance, this is one that will not be deferred maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
This is a maintenance that must be continued. There's not even an argument there to be had. It's a must-have. And the comparison of our neighbors is our sister cities and some others across the county, other counties. But it is a big deal. Roswell is a coveted place to live. For so many reasons, and the safety and feeling good about the coverage that we have here is hugely important. And big kudos to you, Chief, for helping me get up to speed on a lot of the things that a regular resident doesn't necessarily know on the mechanics of how the department works, and then I can share that with other people in the community as well, just to help understand what all goes on behind the scenes. I still don't know all of it, but it's great stuff going on, and I really applaud your efforts and execution. It's awesome.
Thank you. We
Thank
try,
you.
and I appreciate your support, and the mayor and the whole city council and the community. We have tremendous community support here in
Yes.
Roswell. I think you saw a number of our supporters showed up at council meetings to talk about the budget. I appreciate their support, and it's heartfelt on their behalf. I get stopped in the street all the time. And thank you for your service. Thanks for what you do. And I hear good stories about what our officers do. That doesn't make it in the news. That's not big flash news, breaking news stories that everybody hears. But it is great to hear it, and it goes on. And that means a lot to our men and women who are serving the community.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Well, Police Chief Jim Conroy and Councilmember Lee Hills, thank you for your amazing leadership. You are both rock stars.
Thank
in
you.
my book, and I can't tell you, as a resident of the city of Roswell, how much I appreciate what you do for our city.
We're a team.
We are a
We're
team. And to my fellow residents of Roswell, thank you for joining us today. I hope you got just a little snippet of illumination about our police department and our leadership with Police Chief Jim Conroy and our liaison from the City Council, Councilmember Lee Hills. I am not overstating it when I tell you they are rock stars. And one of the things, and I think Jim just said it, is I wish the news purported everything. And I wish you got to see, and most of you know this, there are so many good stories and there are so many not bad things happening in this city because of the leadership and because of the Roswell Police Department and because of people like Councilmember Lee Hills from an elected perspective. So thanks for joining us today. Look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Kurt Wilson. Thank you.